Hypercritical, the comedian Matthew Murray podcast starts now. Hello, it's Matthew Murray. I'm hyphenated, caffeinated, rejuvenated, and flagellated, and happy to be here with you guys once again. How are you doing? I am late. I am a day late and oh so many dollars short. This is being released probably on Wednesday. I'm recording on a Tuesday night. And I would just like to quickly apologize to our financial backer and sponsor of this podcast. Nobody. I'm not making any money. I don't have any ads. I don't have any sponsors. Therefore, the 9 people who listened to last week's episode and have been waiting desperately for this week's episode, I apologize to you. I am enjoying watching the dwindling audience of this podcast because it means I'm really hitting home on a message. And that message is my life just ain't all that interesting. It is to me. And that's the important part. So I am hypercritical. I am hypercritical of everything. I complain a lot. And I am ready for a vacation. Let me tell you, by the time you're listening to this, I will probably be wheels up for a several-week vacation to Las Vegas. So I'm going to record this episode. I'm going to have me another delightful coffee. And then I'm going to record another episode. And then the next episode after that, I will most likely record while I am down in Las Vegas. So, here we go, guys. It is late at night, and I am well into it. Want to say a quick thank you to our clients at a corporate show out in Yorkton last weekend. You know, some comedians feel a lot of pressure to make every audience laugh. They're like, you know what? Every time I go on stage, I want to do well. Not me. I don't feel that demand of myself. I feel, hey, if I show up at your thing, you're already lucky to have me. No, that's not serious. But it was one of those situations where most of the recent shows I've been doing recently have been stand-up comedy sets at comedy clubs, open mics. I'm trying to create more content. This content monster that is constantly screaming for things is a horrible beast. And once you open it up and you let it out of its box, it will constantly scream, more content, you must feed me. That's the voice. It's very similar to Zool when they opened up the refrigerator in Ghostbusters. And it just went, Zool. That's what it is. I just sit there and I feel the need to generate content, which is a buzz term for noise. But I've been doing a lot of open mics, working on new material, working in an environment where I can say what I want and enjoy myself. And my corporate show was just that. It was a corporate show. It was a delightful event. People retiring, some nice speeches, everyone dressed really well midweek because I think most of them had drinking problems. And they just went, okay, and now the delightful comedian will come up and tell us his little jokey jokes, and then we'll all go home. And that's what it was. That's what it was sold as. That's what it was supposed to be. And I enjoyed it for what it was, and I had a great time. But it's a gear shift. It's a change to go from, hey, what are you fuckers in the front row doing here tonight? Oh, hey. And to shift out of that and into the corporate set where they're like, we would like to hear your rehearsed and prepared material that you know is tried, tested, and true so that we can laugh in the appropriate spots of spacing with our boss in the room where no one will be offended, and then we can go home. And it took me a little bit. I stumbled over the first 10 to 15 finding that gear because it's just like, it's a set of muscles you don't use. Comedians are constantly paranoid that as soon as we get off stage, we begin to fatigue and we begin to rust. It's kind of like if you don't go to a gym for a couple of days, you suddenly you lift like half the weight you could. And as much as I think comedians are a little over paranoid in that area, I think we're right. I think as soon as you start stepping away from the stage on a regular basis, you do get the rust. It comes on very quickly. So I always advocate to comedians, move to a city where you can be on stage 5 nights a week for 3 to 5 minutes rather than one 20-minute set once every 2 weeks. You will just get better putting in the reps. And contrast, I hadn't been on stage in about a week and a half. I'd had a long day at the day job and I wasn't on my game. Once I dropped into gear, it was great. I mean, rest assured, I'm amazing. I am incredibly talented. And once I hit the right gear, I'm fine. But I popped the clutch. It took me a while to drop into it. And once I did, I pushed play on the auto set and we were fine. But thank you. Appreciate the opportunity. It was great to see Yorkton again. Had a great time out there, staring blankly into the abyss. But it's nice. I don't have a huge list of things I want to ramble about this time. I tell you, my head is just in getting out to vacation. I am so burnt out. I am beyond my last nerve. And one of the really cool things about having an 8-year-old in your life is it challenges you to explain adult situations in a way that a kid can understand. And I finally hit on that today when I was talking to my daughter, and I explained to her that right now, Daddy is kind of like when we played Jenga, and you've pulled a whole bunch of blocks out, and you know at any time you're going to pull that one block out that's going to send the whole stack over. That's where I am right now. So if Daddy blows up a little bit more than he should over something small, or if he just seems a little testy, or he's not sleeping, please just know that we need to go on vacation and stick blocks in my holes. I need to fill my holes with sticks so that I can be a complete person again. So when I fill all my Jenga holes and I am a complete tower of power once again, then I'm fine being your parent. But in the meantime, you're going to have to parent yourself at least a little bit here. Watch TV, Google it on YouTube, what to do when you're 8 and Dad is burnt out. I'm sure there's got to be a video on that. There has to be, right? One of my delightful coworkers, relatively new Canadian in my day job, I had to explain the CFL to him today, Canadian Football League. Now, if you have no frame of reference for American football, like maybe you've seen rugby twice, but like the other 99% of the planet, you're into soccer or football as he calls it. And I call it because my father's English and he hit me a lot. So when there's no frame of reference, it looks ridiculous. Okay, any sporting event in general, if you don't know the general rules of the game, it already looks ridiculous. But at least with most games, you can see the intent of the game by just sitting and observing. If you watch a soccer game, it's like, oh, that ball must be important because there's only one of them and everyone is trying to get it and they're trying to kick it. And the only other thing on the field are those two big sticks that they are feverishly attempting to kick the ball through. It won't take a whole lot of deductive reasoning to figure out the rules of soccer. They might eventually, occasionally blow the whistle or something. Oh, well, why did they stop playing? Why was that kick allowed? And what is that funny looking man with the red card doing? Yeah, I get it. But if you put an alien in front of soccer, before too long, they'd get the general idea. Oh, there's a clock and the clock never stops. And when the clock hits a certain point, the game ends. Try explaining the CFL version of American football to someone with no frame of reference. I'll wait. It's not easy. Okay? Hey, you got to advance the ball 10 yards, but this is how they measure it, and you can do one forward throw, and if they throw the ball forward and the guy doesn't catch it, it's an incomplete pass, and then everyone just stops playing and looks sad. And then they line up again eventually, and they try again. But if you run the ball forward, then the ball actually advances. But if you get the ball taken away from you, then it becomes the other team's ball. And when you kick the ball, you're not allowed to catch the ball. that you kicked, you have to let the other team catch it. So you have to stand there a little bit a ways away from him until he picks up the ball. And then you can absolutely drill him with all of your force and attempt to cripple him. That's just like 3 downs worth of description. And I tell you, like, he's a well-built guy. He's in shape. He's obviously, I don't think he's ever been it seems like a very calm, rational, cool guy, not an aggressive bone in his body, but he takes care of himself. I have a feeling in a fight he could handle himself. He's probably seen a lot of soccer matches, guys kind of getting spiked cleats in the heel, or maybe a push or a shove. The way he was reacting to the hits, and like just the basic hits, like, oh, that guy's got the ball. Oh, look, 3 men all wrapped their arms around him at the same time and wrestled him to the ground. It was like he was watching like deer being eaten by lions. And it's like, dude, we're not even watching big hits. Like, I'm not even going to subject you to like a highlight reel of hits. There was maybe one open field hit where the guy was doing he took the pass. As soon as he turned upfield, he got drilled, and the guy did a happy little dance saying, haha, I got him. I hit him in the backfield. But he was mortified at the violence. And all he's had for reference is propaganda. He's heard all kinds of propaganda about, oh yeah, actually these guys don't get concussions, and athletes in other sports get injured way more often because they don't have the padding and the helmets and the training these guys have, and statistically it's a safer. He's like, oh, I've heard. I'm like, yeah, it's bullshit. These guys are mauling their bodies. They are playing injured, making terrible decisions, and in the CFL, not for a ton of money. Like in the NFL, you kind of put a couple seasons in. If you're smart with your money, you're okay. In the CFL, you put in a couple of seasons, and now you'll probably be a very successful car salesman, trading off your name recognition from when you played in the CFL in the town you played in. That's what you have to look forward to. Hey, tremendous respect. I'm not dissing any of them. They're athletes. They could all pop me like a pimple. They're following their passion, and they deserve to be applauded for it. I'm just saying they should be paid more for the abuse their bodies are taking. So he was like, oh, I heard this is actually very safe, and the studies show. I'm like, no, these dudes are getting killed. So it'll be interesting to see him learn football, and it's kind of cool. It was kind of like when you've seen a really good movie and then you meet someone who hasn't seen, like if you meet someone who's never seen The Matrix or Pulp Fiction, or, well, those are pretty much the only 2 good movies out there, and the original Star Wars trilogy, and the second Lord of the Rings movie, and then they've never seen it, and then you want to watch it with them, because you don't want to watch the movie, you want to watch them watch the movie, and they have them be like, oh my God, ah! So that's what it was kind of like, and I'm looking forward to experiencing more CFL with him, so that'll be a good time. But the only thing I had really written down for a premise today was the concept of the 1% or the 99%. I find the 1%ers or the 1% aspect shows up a lot in my world. Now, you might already be thinking, okay, the standardized terminology for the 1%. I gotta yawn. I'm not cutting it out. I'm boring myself to death. It's literally 1 a.m. as I'm recording this. I am bagged, but hey, those 9 listeners need their content, and I need my future client in 2025 to look back and see a consistent publishing date of episodes to let them know that I am reliable to help them with their steak and comedian fundraiser in Tisdale. I'm doing it for you. I'm here for you. It's not for me. It's for you. But the 1% as a concept is really thrown around as this elitist. Oh, the rich 1%, those billionaires who could buy and sell us. That's the 1%. And first off, to the 1%, I would like to say, can I have some money, please? You're exceptionally wealthy. you could donate more to me in a day than I would make in my life, and it would change my life entirely. Please give me money. But outside of that, the idea of the 1% I don't like the idea of there being this elitist 1%, but I do like the idea that I am in a lot of 1% tiles, and that has led to a very funky life. First off, personality wise, I'm in a very small percent, like 1%. Have you ever done those Myers-Briggs tests of ENFJs and LMNOPs and IQ, RSPs, that you answer basically 300 questions and then they give you a report showing you're a sociopath. But really, most people fall into there's 16 different categories, and overwhelming majorities of personality types fall into certain categories. Sorry, guys. It's mainly an oxygen thing. It's not a fatigue thing that's got me yawning. I'm talking fast and I'm trying to enunciate and speak into this exceptionally expensive microphone. So I'm using more oxygen than I usually do. And my brain is like, whoa, what are you doing here? We're supposed to be powering down. So it's making me yawn, going, hey, slow down. You're not supposed to be awake and working this hard at this hour. But I'm addicted to work, and it's great because I'm hypercritical of my work. But one of the nice things about doing this on stage is I can turn to an audience member and say, where was I? And they'll pick me up. Now I got to remember where I was. But the idea about 1%, personality profiles, I'm in a very, very, I think it's ENFJ, but there might even be a subset within that. But I've had several personality profile people do these tests on me, and they're like, whoa, you're rare. And you're the kind of rare that could be ultra successful or could end up in a bell tower with a rifle and a box of colored chalk. Like, I am just genetically, personality predisposed to be very outside the box. Like, there's a box, and then I'm outside looking at that box saying, why not a ball? Why a box in the first place? So I'm weird. And I'm a lot. And everyone's like, oh, everyone's weird. Everyone's different in this world of this new world where everyone can be that. No. I'm weird. Okay. I'm outgoing and extroverted to a fault, to the point where I'm like, oh, hi, complete stranger. Let's talk for an hour and a half about trees. It's a lot. I'm a lot to deal with. I'm very lucky to have a family that gets me and gives me none of what I need. Because to give me anything that I like is to only feed this furnace of self-destruction. So I have this wonderful wife who just loves never giving me anything I need, because she knows what I really need is none of what I need. And I'll take this moment to one of the 9 listeners out here who is curious. I have listened to your feedback, and yes, I am going to release the footage of me ranting specifically about something my wife made me mad about on stage. I have got the footage. I don't want to do a chop job of it here really quickly before vacation, but I am saying here now, before the end of July, I will release it in its entirety. It's horrible, and I can't wait. So yes, I'm going to do it, and we'll let the chips fall where they may. And speaking of potato chips, I'm still not allowed to eat them. Okay, I made a New Year's resolution. I never keep my New Year's resolutions, ever. But I made this stupid one. I was eating a lot of potato chips last year. It was becoming my go-to snack. And post-bariatric surgery, it's easy to overindulge. And potato chips, we only sell them in vats. I was buying small bags of potato chips just to ration them. And then I'd be like, well, I'll buy a big bag of potato chips and I'll break it into smaller bags. And it was getting bad. So I said, okay, not for the rest of my life, but for 2024, I'm not going to eat a potato chip. And then my wife, who's dumb, decided I'm going to support you, which is a bad idea. Don't listen to this podcast if you're listening now. Supporting me is a bad idea. I'm hypercritical of you listening to me. What are you doing? Now I'm critical of you. But I decided I'm not going to eat potato chips this year, and now she's on board. So now we've got this situation where neither one of us wants to be the first one to eat a potato chip. And I was kind of hoping we could at least call a truce for that down in Vegas. But I know neither one of us is going to want to do that, and I miss chips. So even just saying the phrase, let the chips fall, that's usually like gambling chips or like money. I want chips desperately. 1%. I'm part of the 1%, this extreme personality type that can be, if focused and self-aware, can be tremendously productive, can open doors that no one else can do things that no one else can, and in the wrong path can be self-destructive and absolutely torch the lives of everyone who loves us. So yay, 1%. And it's tough. And that 1% leads me to comedy. The stand-up comedy is one of those things where only, like, a lot of people think they can do it and they can't. Everyone thinks they're funny and they're not. You're not. I'm sorry, you're not. Maybe you might be in the right circumstance with the right liquid or the right people. Situationally funny, sure. Maybe you're the funniest person at your office because you have a terrible office full of bad people who've made horrible life choices, and thus they're in that office there with you. But to be funny, on command, professionally, at a level where you can support yourself, already in the 1%. The population of North America, how many real a lot of people I'm doing open mics for 2 years and I get a guest spot at a comedy club, and once in a while I get paid to go into a backyard and tell some jokes, and I'm a professional now. Okay, if you haven't cleared 10 grand in a year in comedy, you're not really a professional. Okay, you're not. You're an enthusiast, and that's not an insult. That's already rarefied. To just to get up, I applaud anybody who gets up on stage and tries stand up even once. To face the fear of public speaking is hard. To put yourself on display and open to ridicule in one of the most punishing environments deserves acknowledgement and praise. But then to call yourself a professional when you're not, or just to be an enthusiast and then misrepresent yourself, sucks. So at 25 years into this, knowing that I do have the option to drop out the day job, just do comedy full time, and I will get enough work to pay all the bills, I'm now in the 1%. Have I done just for laughs? Do I have a lot of TV credits? Have I been on a lot of sitcoms? Do I have a Netflix special? I don't. No. Okay? But the NHL has 1,000 professional players, and right now, the top tier guys, the 1% of the 1% of the 1%, making a bajillion, more power to them. But just to make the NHL, you're already having passed 50,000 other guys that wanted that position. So I feel hypercritical of myself, thinking I could have gotten further, but in rarefied air, that I'm in that 1% that has done this and can do it. And it feels very cool to be in that very small percentile. And that's awesome. And I'm lucky. I've gotten the chance. I've had a family that's been supporting me, and I get to keep doing it. And I get younger comedians that remind me that I'm funnier than them and they'll never be as funny as me, but I enjoy their youthful energy and they keep me going. So that the next 1% I'm part of is I'm 1% of a population born into privilege. And again, that's not a 1%, hey, I'm an elitist snob, I'm rich compared to the rest of the planet, haha, first world. I mean, I'm lucky. I'm a white male. That comes with inherent advantages that I was never conscious of growing up as a child. I'm in a first world country. I've got my health. I've got health care. I've got a family I've got a lot of good things. And a lot of them have nothing to do with any of my conscious efforts to go out and get them. Okay? There are people in much worse, there are countries fighting each other. there are people like, hey, we want you to go kill all those people, so you have to do that now because this is where you were born. There's some horrible, horrible things in this world right now. And I'm very fortunate and I have tremendous gratitude to be in that 1% where I just wake up and I can work as hard, and I'm in a job, both my day job and my comedy job, where the reward is directly proportional to my efforts. And that's awesome. I'm in the 1% that loves their work. I wake up and I'm like, hey, I get to go to work today. Da, 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 da. Yay, I love work. I love doing work. Hey, oh, I have to go home. Well, that sucks because I sure like doing work. But hey, I'm home and I love my family. Hey, I've got toys and my family's all. I'm very, very fortunate to be in this 1%. I've got great neighbors. I have okay neighbors. I have great family. I have every toy I could want. I'm in that 1% that truly doesn't want for all that much. And I have a lot of people to thank, and I'm not going to thank them, but I'm in that 1%, and the gratitude in my heart. I try to support charities, especially charities that aren't human based. I love animal charities and stuff. Anything where I see an organization working really hard already and I can just amplify their efforts, I'm behind them and I like doing it. So I'm in that 1%, try and give back a little bit and make the world better. What else did I put here? 4%. Gratitude. Link. Yeah, I'm in a weird 1% is I'm amazing at my job, which is difficult because a lot of it is just the market I'm in and the part of the world I'm in. But LinkedIn is always like, oh, you've been selected to answer this question and give your advice on this. No, you're trying to get me to make your content to sell your website. So I don't like being in that 1%. And so as I come to this rant and about the importance of being in the 1% and not wanting to think elitism and superiority and being just grateful for the advantages that were provided to me, there is a part of me that goes, when you go into a public bathroom, there's a sign that says, employees must wash hands. Most people suck. Now, a lot of people are just, they got born into a bad situation, but they're trying to make their best, and their efforts aren't proportional to their gains because of other situation things. But then again, there are just a lot of brutal people out there who would rather complain about their boss than go to a different job, or would like to complain about their physique rather than work on it. And I complain. Hypercritical is the theme of the podcast, and there's nothing I'm more hypercritical of than myself, but I'm hypercritical of others. So if you want to be in a 1% of something, if you want to achieve, just try. Just at a base level, giving a bit more effort will put you so much further ahead than 90% of anyone just through that effort. Oh my God, the number of human beings who have come to me, help me with this situation. I'm stuck. I'm drowning. I have financial problems, career problems. And I'm like, oh, well, why don't you try to, oh, that sounds like work. I was hoping you were just going to solve everything for me and life would be great. I'll move on to the next person and just complain in their general direction. I am trying to get into the 1% of people who have successfully cut the 99% of toxic people out of their lives. I do not get notifications from any social media. I went on my Facebook the other day and I had 13 new messages. I'm like, whoa, it was neat to see double digits, which is pretty embarrassing because as a public figure doing comedy, you'd think I'd be getting messages or at least likes or something. But no, double digits of like a red number of like 13. Like, oh, wow, someone really liked my post or something. It wasn't. It was just a bunch of advertising that I haven't read in a while. But I don't get notifications of Facebook or Instagram or listens on this podcast and I miss things as a result. And that's awesome. I do get my emails and I'm getting better and better at being present with my kid and my family and just not looking. Just not looking. It's great. So if you want to be in that 1%, if you want to, just please, I will help anyone. I love helping people. I love doing sales coaching and negotiation training and financial, and like whatever I can do. If you see anything in me of any value, you're nuts. But if I can help your charity, if I can help your anything, I will help. I will help until my knuckles bleed. I just need to see you trying to. If you're trying to better you as much as I would like to help better you or your situation or your company or your process or your feature set or your web, whatever, I get asked all the time. I will help as long as you are helping you. So I'm hypercritical of everything, but that doesn't come without realizing that most people just aren't trying all that hard, or it's very easy to blame. And the world is telling you all the time, be scared. The tax man's coming to get you. Other people hate you. We're a divided people. We're not. Everyone's awesome. People are great. Go to the wrong side of town, quote unquote, and say hello. You'll probably be fine. Violence is down. Crime is down. Overall, we're not cutting each other's heads off to take each other's land all that much anymore. Things in general as a planet are getting better, and things will get better if you just put in a little effort. Please put in just a little effort and join, and I will be happy to help you. I'm always trying to make my situation a little bit better. I'm often criticized for not being happy with what I have, and that's not true. I'm exceptionally happy with what I am. My desire to go get more is not born of a dissatisfaction with where I am. My desire to go get more is born out of a desire to spread that around, to make things better. I sell effectively because I truly believe, I only sell products that I believe in, and I believe my client is truly better off having that product. I do comedy selfishly because I love the high and the power and everyone likes me, because was never popular as a kid and I get bullied and stuff. So that's a lot of why I do stand up. But I'm making people happy. Someone in that audience lost a family member recently, or got fired, or there's a relationship in that room that's fighting, and maybe they stopped fighting because they realized the fight was dumb, and they had a laugh together, and they go home and they're happier. So I'm hypercritical and ultra pushy of myself to stay in that 1% of wherever I am, not because I'm dissatisfied. It's because I want to make everything around me a little bit better for everyone else, and maybe everyone else will be just as happy as I am with everything. And I need a vacation. Wow, I have got to unplug. I'm supposed to hang this up and do another podcast. I'm spent. I'm done. So next podcast recording will probably be done mid-travel day, which is a bad idea. It's a bad idea, but I'll do it. Yeah. So it's I should have a brilliant, motivational quote to close off these podcasts, but I don't.